The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hi, everybody. Welcome back again to the Always Smiling Faces podcast. And it's going to be a very special one tonight. The second time for those that have been watching the earlier stream. We had a bit of a mishap earlier on. I think everybody's just a bit too excited and probably still pissed. But it's going to, I'm honestly, I can't wait for this one. I can't wait for this one. Deka, it's going to be a special one tonight, mate. But take it away.
We won the cup, you know.
Honestly, lads, do you know what is? I know we've spoken to each other throughout the weekend. Obviously, Saturday and Sunday was amazing, but it is a podcast, and I think I'm going to struggle for words tonight just about how amazing yesterday was from start to finish. Watching the lads and that group of lads as well to bring a cup home. A major trophy to Newcastle United. It's fantastic, and we're not even going to have any sort of plan tonight. We're just going to talk about just how fantastic that was, and I think that's probably the best way to
do. We normally have a plan.
I was just probably
not. No,
never.
We're doing, but let's just dive straight in. Where, like, honestly, anybody take it away.
How did it compare to 1955, Mark?
Was that the kid you had when a kid?
It was me. So a couple of bands back then, like I.
Well, I just like the thing is, you're right. Probably the pattern of this school is just going to go out the window, really. Like, but if I just want to mention the game for a second, it's a funny one. That before the game, I was like, even if we get beat, right, but we just turn up and give them a game, because I kept referencing the final a few years ago where I felt against Man United, we just never really laid a glove on them at any part in the game, and you just felt you could have done more. Like, my God, man, we were unreal on Sunday. Like, we were absolute to a man. We were amazing,
brilliant. Like, I ran my dad at full time, and I said, "My Trippier played well, didn't he? And my Burn was really good. And Pope did well. Oh, Isaac." And I was like, "I've gone through the whole team, all of them." And someone said to us at the start of the weekend that there's no one alive who's won a domestic cup for Newcastle. It's 50 in them now.
Yeah.
Well, and like,
more,
actually,
yeah,
15 on the pitch over the course of the game. But then obviously you got. And it was just like Jacob Murphy, like when he got the trophy at the end and kind of started running up and down. I know you probably hated Deka.
No. Listen, I loved everyone, even him.
Not him. But no, it was all of them. And what? It's hard that I've got like a million thoughts in my head, and I don't know what the most pertinent thing is. I was so nervous. I was going up the escalator beforehand, and this when he came back was today. The feeling. And I saw Tom, one of the lads I drove down with, and me and Kieran give him a cuddle. And I was like, "Oh, how do you feel?" Exactly that. I want to turn up. I want to have something to cheer. If it's even just a performance to be proud of, we can say that the lads, if we played as well as we could, and it wasn't good enough, you'd say, "Well, that's fair enough." You know, we've had games like that. Liverpool are that good aside. That could have been how it worked out. And I remember beforehand, I got to see like fairly early because I wanted to see the flags and the banner pageant, you know, that stuff. And I remember thinking, like, I don't know how I'm going to sing for 90 minutes here. I was like emotionally wrecked by the time we got there. And it was the people saying, "Be careful on Saturday, don't drink too much." I mean, I had a good drink on Saturday, but didn't go bananas. I thought, like, I don't know how I'm not going to get through this. I'm going to have to at some point, like, have a little half-hour kip.
Unlike those sitting in section 131.
Hey, wait, it's positive vibes tonight, mate. Absolutely positive vibes, because as a fan base, you know what it is. There was a lot of criticism about the last time we got to Wembley.
Yeah,
we were amazing, absolutely amazing at Wembley. Like Sunday, well, I'm saying Sunday just got it was fucking yesterday. It feels like it was a lifetime ago.
It does feel
like
24 hours ago. We're still there.
Time, yeah. We were running the streets of London this time yesterday, and Do you know what it is? I think
I was wandering the streets of London just
I only this afternoon I was in London. So.
it was one of those moments, and atmosphere has been a heavy criticism at St James's Park. Like I said the last time we were at Wembley, and do you know what it is? I thought we were amazing as a fan base yesterday, because I was quite worried going up against Liverpool, because if there's any fan base you probably don't want to go up against because of atmosphere, you probably argue it's going to be Liverpool because they're quite loud.
for that first 30 seconds
Well, it didn't even happen.
kick off.
There was nothing. There was nothing. Every time they tried to start a chant, it was quickly cut out by us. We were just even booing. We're just booing it
over the top.
It's something I always wonder, because there's times at home I can't tell how bad the atmosphere is, because I can't hear the away fans usually the same, because of like the roof, the sound goes over the east stand. And I thought yesterday at Wembley I could hear them at times, but it was always. And I thought it just seemed louder because I'm in the Newcastle. Obviously, I'm like quite far in Newcastle. Then I've been listening to the podcast on the way here. Not all night. You want to listen to Kris. I listened to that one in the car earlier today, actually. But it was a football ramble, and Vitesh is saying like Newcastle's fans were so much louder than Liverpool's fans, and that's someone who's got no stake. You know, he's not a Newcastle fan or a Liverpool fan, as much as I'm aware of. It sounded like Newcastle's fans were that much louder.
I thought they were terrible, if I'm honest. Like, and I will say, I thought the scarves helped us a lot. Like, just to
it looked amazing.
It looked amazing. It really helped build that atmosphere. Like, because I was quite high up in the ground, so I could like see. I don't know. I feel like I could see it all. If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
God, like our section with the flags was just looked so amazing. I think that really helped. And on their side, there was nothing happening. Like,
that was brilliant when they pulled out their surfer, and it centered across the stand wonky, and it started dropping down, and then all of a sudden it was like war flags went. Hold on, lads, hold me beer.
Our turn now.
And that
call that a flag.
That surfer went up, and they dropped the flags over from the top, and absolutely fantastic. And you're right, the scarves just added something to it. We've tried to replicate that a number of times over the years, and like particularly in the cup runs and stuff like that, since the Shearer testimonial, and it just hasn't quite had that effect. It's always looked pretty good, but seeing that 32,000 Newcastle fans in that end of the ground, everybody head to toe in black and white, just
it was brilliant.
Helicoptering, not that kind of helicoptering.
It was
helicopter.
I was a bit when we played Man U last time. And they had the scarves and the bucket hats, and we had the flags. I thought the flags looked much better than the scarves there. But looking yesterday, and I love how it was just black and white in our end. It looked amazing. They had the partition, and obviously this is all red. But I was like the scarves, and war flags played a blinder again. Like they always do. Like, but I think we've got to mention like that surfer and the right here place in the history books. Whatever it was, I couldn't see the second half of it.
And they did it.
It looked brilliant, and they did.
They wrote their names in that history book, that's for sure.
And over the course of the game, and like you said, that's going to be all over the place on tonight. I was thinking, like, but at 2-0, I'm thinking, and we've had a couple of chances for a third, I'm thinking, the first couple of stores, it's the hardest one to win. And if they pull this back now, how on earth are we ever going to win something?
Yeah.
To get that close. Yeah. And then obviously that it's not a concern now, you know, but it was those like kind of invasive thoughts that you have. And it was,
it would be the ultimate Newcastle United, wouldn't it?
It got a full time. It got a full time. I give me mate like I nearly squeezed. I nearly killed him. I squeezing that much. I thought, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Like, what happens now?
How do you react to
Just to take it back a bit, Besty. Like you said, you are more nervous going to the game.
Yeah.
I think as the day went on the Sunday, I was so chilled. Like I kept on saying to people, I'm really relaxing. And other people are going, I'm stressed. Like, we're going up against Liverpool. I said, I think there's literally no pressure on us right now. And looking at all the content and the interviews that Bruno and Isaac were doing, Eddie Howe had done before the game, everybody just seemed the same, like just chilled about it. Yeah. Like, yes, we made a cup final, but we're there 2 years ago and we're going to do things completely different. That's what we did last time.
And that's what we'd sat there a couple of nights before, didn't we? When we did Thursday, Friday?
Friday night, mate. It was Friday.
And we talked about how different it felt this time, and
but what being down there was different.
Yeah, 100. Well, I mean, the Saturday day and Saturday night was very, very much the same.
And Deka, you weren't there at this point. Deka nearly lost a leg because of a banger going off.
Aye,
at Covent Garden, nearly lost a leg.
Oh, I swear to God, like I'm not even. Wasn't anything to make it like. because we were in the.
The show wasn't just with them little firecrackers that.
No,
it was
Devil
loud, mate.
The bombs were loud, like
we're walking down, mate. That got quite dangerous at one stage. Or you were at that point when we walked down from the top of Covent Garden to the bottom.
Bottleneck.
And then there was a pram. There was a pram coming towards at one point. And I thought, oh, this poor local, obviously, bless, is in London, you know, with our band, doesn't realise that those Newcastle fans. No. When I looked in the pram, I had a Newcastle bib on, and I was like, "Why have you bought your band here?"
There was hilarious bits where, because like anybody that has either been to Covent Garden or was there, there's quite some affluent shops around that area.
We were parked outside Tiffany's.
And there's like
Covent Garden, it's nice part of
Tom
London.
Ford and all of this, and there's people wandering around on a Saturday that are obviously there for the shopping, and they're like,
well heeled.
they're coming around, they're like, what on earth is going on here? I just want to go and buy some ombre leather or something.
The watch shop, I can't remember what it was, but it was obviously an expensive watch shop. When we got there, we walked past, I just seen the guy literally just going, everything's coming off the shelf. He just locked the door and he just like give the thumbs up, and I was like, I didn't blame you, like, you know what I mean?
I fair enough.
But then the other one we were walking down, they had the bane on his shoulders. The bane was at 1.5, right? Couldn't even like keep its head straight. And there was a guy behind just holding the bane, going up and the lads. I was like,
upright.
This is it. This is just insane.
Mine, I saw a few lads that couldn't keep their head straight
Well,
post weekend as well.
Fair comment, yeah. I not to be any negative, but I prefer Trafalgar Square, if I'm honest. The 2 years before than Covent Garden. I don't know. That was just my.
It was more open, wasn't it? It was more
because you were more. Yeah, it was just more, wasn't it? Yeah, but it was different. It was still class. Of course.
At one point where, because me and Deka had fought our way through to get where the rest of the lads were up by the tube station. So horror, they were in there for about an hour, wasn't it? Then we went to the shop. This fella got a bottle of wine. This fella had hit jackpot. The fact that his shop was so close to Covent Garden, shelves were bare. Nothing in it.
We asked him, I says, you had a busy day? He went, yeah, I'm off to Dubai tomorrow.
Honestly, he must have made it
retiring.
It was the same. Remember those Sainsbury's, Tesco's, the shelves.
Have you ever seen a queue for Tesco's that long?
Yeah, it was
Jesus.
Crazy. There was loads of stuff on social media where, like, I can't remember what pub it was, but there was one pub by 4:30 had no beer left. 4:30 on Saturday and not a single drop left in the cage.
An old mate of mine runs a pub in London, Sharon, and I forget which pub it is now. Didn't go. She's a massive Sunderland fan. Hates Newcastle, but she had the fish cans. Like, there's nothing left. She drank the place dry, basically.
Happy days.
But when we came back from the shop, it was Joe and Ian were there for Ian Stag do. So anybody watching, if you did see a massive magpie wandering around London at the weekend, that was our
in a tutu.
In a tutu, yeah. So we got back and they wanted to said, do you want to go further? And me and Deka were like, oh God, do I have to? We've just tackled that not long ago. We went back through and it was 10 times worse. Getting back through to what it was before. And that's when your foot nearly fell off because of the banger.
Yeah, we got to the bottom and there was no like warning of these guys were throwing bangers around, right? Like there was no like sort of show about it. Like, so I just walking along and bang, honestly, I thought my foot was going to come off, and I honestly shit my pants.
You also missed the firework display.
We had left just after
impromptu firework display, like in just randomly down one of the.
Do you know what is the best?
The
best thing, because last time when we were at Trafalgar Square, we didn't really have a plan after that, and we're like, oh, what do we do now? The fact that we had that venue sorted, that Joe had sorted for them, what was great, that we just had somewhere just to camp for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So you get a hotel, like.
True, we didn't stay long in there.
It was the atmosphere in there was class, wasn't it? Like,
yeah.
It was the music was great. The DJ was just banging out loads of Newcastle songs and stuff. Of course, it was really, really good.
Was it called the Coach House? Is that what it was called?
Yeah, yes.
I think it was.
It was the Coach House. The one mint, like the DJ was class. The DJ was playing any song you asked him to play, like just instantly. Just stop the last one and play another one.
It was the easiest night he's ever had as a DJ because it was just play this.
He loved it as well. I think he was like, because I shook his hand before I left, and he was like, "Oh, you've all been so lovely." I don't know if maybe he's expecting we were just going to glass him or something. Like, you know what I mean? But he seemed to be so happy that everyone just had a great night. It
was a nice atmosphere. I didn't spend a massive amount of time in Covent Garden around those environs, but like in the pubs I was in Piccadilly before the game, and like with like Kobe and all them, and like a few Liverpool fans walked in and we started like booing them a lot. But it was like well natured. There was never any edge out like that. And all the way through, like it was just, I didn't, and correct as if views have come across something different. No. I've seen people talk since the game about how good the Liverpool fans were, like how like humble might not be the right word, but they're very congratulatory and like saying like, oh, like you're a better team. I'm really glad for you.
Some
All that.
lush
like,
videos going around, Besty.
it seems to be. It seems
This
to
must have
be.
been this morning because there wasn't a single sign of any of them
I did honestly.
within seconds
Oh,
of
we
the
saw
final
a few.
whistle.
Me
I
and
didn't see-
Deka saw a few.
we
when
saw-
we were
I
leaving.
saw a few that changed. I was at Euston this morning getting the because we part of the car and Watford, so I got a train from there. So a few there, but before the game, I saw one person in a Liverpool scarf, and I was around. I was in Limehouse next to Canary Wharf. That's where our hotel was. Went to Bayswater up like near Notting Hill. Obviously, saw you come black, white, and all that. But I saw one person with any Liverpool merch on at all prior to like about an hour and a half before we left Paddington. It was
So
Well,
all
we
Newcastle.
we spotted a couple on the tube, didn't we? On the night time when we left.
Yeah,
There was two lads, and
the two lads, Kenny and them two.
them weren't dressed in Liverpool, or they were just dressed like quite smart, and obviously we were like decked out.
Ah,
You know, around my walk
Yeah.
club shop, and they started talking straight away. And they were mint, weren't they? They were like, "Oh, like we're really petrified to be sacked," blah blah. And
They
Chris,
called it early on, like, didn't
yeah,
they?
they did. And Chris kind of said, like, "Oh, like we've been a come and gone." And I asked, "Where have you been tonight? Like, have you been?" And he went, "I'm not being funny, mate, but we'll all just come down tomorrow." Like, and
Yeah.
I think it's just the
it's
like the us. It's just different. It's bigger for us, right? Like,
it's because
You
we
know what
do
I
it
mean?
so infrequently.
yeah.
That's what I said.
Aye,
Yeah,
and
you
he's
just
like,
get used to it.
Not
don't you?
anymore.
No, but no. It's my second one in 3 years, but prior to that, it was 99. Well, the Charity Shield 2000.
Yeah.
That was, no, sorry, the semi-final at Cardiff, but that's not playing, is it?
I could be wrong here, but I feel like it won't change for us. Am I wrong with thinking that?
I think,
I think if we got the final next year, we'd do exactly the same again.
yeah, but I think when it gets like every other year, like we've had
I mean,
such
they've-
a small sample size now.
they've-
I
they've
think
had
in the
a
next 10 years, if we get another 4, I think it'll probably will
Yeah,
die down. I don't
I
think
think-
everybody will stop doing
Me
it.
and you are going there, Mark.
I think
I'll still be there.
This one will get served.
I'll still be
This one
there.
will get served dead quick.
No,
I'll
I
still
think
go
you're
there.
right, though. I think that's probably right. Because you think Liverpool, it's been 45, 50 years. I'm not going
Like
to
to
do it, Mark. I'm not going to do
Through
it.
the 2000s, like Liverpool were winning it every year.
But
I get it,
even
I
when
get
they
it.
weren't doing great in the league, they got the
They
cup
were
final in
winning,
95, 96 when Cantona scored. They won the cup treble in 2001, and they weren't a great league club. The Champions League final in 2005, they were top 4, top 5. They've always been there or thereabouts.
God, he's like Liverpool. He's like you, Arsenal, with
No, I'm
Liverpool,
really,
You can
really,
reel off their
really
history
not.
wheel.
Norwich memories, but not Liverpool. But
You're doing a good job.
but no, what I'm saying is it's the kind of point is that even when they've not done very well in the league, they've got the cup finals
Yeah, that's
pretty
true.
consistently, and we've been to 2 since. Well, there's a shorter gap between 1974 and 1998 than there was between 1999 and 2003. Like in 74, because we weren't born yet, 3 weren't born yet. To 98 feels like longer.
3 now.
Feels-
3, so what? you
Three
know?
of were.
It might, in my age, you forget. Like, but like that because it's such a different look. At footage from '74, then you think of what football was in '98 when we got there against Arsenal, and how different it looks. And now '98 doesn't look as different to now. It still does. You can see this age, but it's longer, but doesn't feel like longer.
Mhm.
But now, like I say, it's 2 and 3 seasons.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
We're back in Europe next season again. Looking at what's left in the Conference League this year, should that be what we're qualified for? I mean, we're still pushing the
Well,
Champions
it's
League.
minimal
So-
now, isn't it?
In the league.
and we had
Yeah.
the results went our way away
Yeah.
from the cup final as
I
well.
think
like,
it'll take a disaster. I think for a disaster at the end of the season for us to only have the Conference League. That's how I feel about it. But even if that happens, right? Who cares?
Europe.
It's
Europe at the
Europe.
end
I
of the
think
day.
qualification could go down to 11th
Yeah,
under the right
it's
circumstances.
yeah.
That
Getting
means
quite
like
insane,
Chelsea to
yes.
win the Conference League, Villa to win the Champions League, and it's unlikely. But 5th place in the Premier League looks like it wraps up Champions League qualification.
Yes.
So that pushes you Europa League one further down. The FA Cup winners if they qualify
But
for the Champions League.
coefficient's still looking a bit ropey, like. So
Well, it will be in one of the lower pots, but in the Conference League, I mean, we don't know who's in it yet. There'll be, I mean, even now Chelsea looking at it going, looks good, but then you've got Real Betis and Fiorentina in the other half of the draw, and that tests are good teams. But I don't have the same fear because of how the European tournaments work now. We wouldn't get a group of 3 unbelievable teams. Would get a couple of games against bigger teams, and it's all done on seed, I suppose. Like, but there's more chance of getting like a comparatively easy draw. I think the way it is now.
Before we go any further, I need to address a couple of donations which came in here because
I've seen these.
we've had a few, right? So I'm going to put it right in the middle of the show there. So
can we buy some strepsils with these donations?
first of all, we need to buy a new light, which you broke, and you're still adamant.
I'm
Water Wembley
I'm
way.
being
He was
here
still
to
saying
fix
he
it.
didn't break that light, you know.
Mark, I've got a picture of you breaking it.
Like he said, I didn't break it. Like
I've got
So-
footage.
to go through the donations. as always, a massive thanks, Josh. He's gone in with a total. There's 2 separate donations, but he's donated a huge £70 tonight,
What?
Josh.
Josh,
Yeah.
What
Josh,
the hell?
honestly, thanks very much.
you
mate.
could have nearly bought one of these beautiful tops that Deka's wearing.
Josh
this
will already
evening.
have one of them, man. So Josh has said, hope you have recovered from yesterday and had the best weekend. To actually be there and see us win was a dream come true. This is just to say thanks for everything. I love the channel and the community that you've built. You lads deserve this win more than anybody. Thanks very much, Josh.
It's very generous words. Josh, generous Josh anyway.
He is very generous.
Generous Josh.
Josh,
Absolute legend,
we're
Josh.
just 4 knobheads that sit here and
Well,
talk
one.
about stuff.
Speak for yourself.
Like, we are no more deserving than any other single Newcastle United fan out there, and that's
Bollocks.
that is the big thing for me. Like out of this whole weekend, and particularly yesterday, was that. Oh, I'm gonna go again.
Look, it's more like that.
It just means so much to all of we, and like it's.
I'm surprised
Oh,
you've
bless
got
him.
any tears left, mate.
Honestly, I've never stopped. I've never stopped.
I tell you what was lush to kind of on the back of what Mark's saying there. To my left, like my mate was there, and was a kid with his dad there, and there was loads of young'uns in the crowd, and there's been generations of kids that I've never, like, we're all in my late 30s, early 40s, and we've never seen it. And there's kids like now who are like 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever, who have seen Newcastle win something.
Yeah.
And like my dad wasn't born. My dad was born 57, so he hadn't seen them win. He'd seen them win like the Texaco Cup.
Yeah, my dad.
You know? So now that we've done it, now we've seen it.
I seen it.
It's great for the young'uns, like they're watching, like, and like everyone's got tears now, and the young'uns are like, this is it. And that was brilliant. This kids are spoiled rotten now, like our kids.
Yeah, well,
Our
it's funny
kids who've
because
never known the kind of the Steve Bruce, the Steve McLaren, and that's the other thing as well. I was sitting in the corner flag behind Wembley last night with loads of lads from Heaven that I know that like around our age, and we've all done it. We've all had the same experiences when you cast together. We've been away. We've watched Liverpool put 6 past St James's Park and Shea Given's last game, stuff like that. 2 relegations, cup finals that we haven't turned up for. Even like we were a far better team than Man United a couple of years ago. They had Casemiro and Rashford, and we had Nick Pope. And not to blame Nick Pope, but that was the circumstances. And we've seen good Newcastle teams not turn up. Yesterday, I don't think there could be any argument that a better team won it.
Well,
it should have been 4 or 5-0, really.
Yeah, I've obviously mentioned about, and I was just thinking this today actually. Like we've spoke about how we're down there 2 days early in some degree, and we're so excited that it's a cup final. We're not used to being there, etc. If to an untrained eye, right, if someone didn't watch football and you watched that game on Sunday, it was as if it was Liverpool's first cup final, and we were the
It
experienced
looked like
team.
the occasion got them a bit.
Yeah, it really looked like that. Like it looked like this is just what we are, and we've been in cup finals year after year, and we're always competing this way. In Liverpool, it was like, oh, it's our first opportunity. That's just how it looked. It looked like them throws.
Yeah.
It looked like, and I spoke to Kris about this actually on the way down in the car. Like the first time round, I still think that's why that's so important, that first final, and for the fans as well. By the way,
Yeah.
I just feel collectively on and off the field, having been there a few years before, the entire fan base, the entire players, the entire staff were able to tackle this in such a different way.
Yeah.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
I think the way the players are, I think I said at the time, Mark was saying earlier about how the whole day felt different. I'll go as far as to say at full time against Arsenal in the second leg, it felt different. It felt Southampton was like, because I hadn't been, I didn't go to Wembley in 98, 99, or the Charity Shield 96. Like I was so like, oh, we're in a final. This time around, it felt like we're in a final, but we're going there to win.
Yeah, like
we've got the
business,
Champions League campaign under our belts. It didn't go perfectly, but we've got these players. We've got like at the minute the best striker in the world on form in Isaac. We've got Sandro Tonali, who if Tonali played in any of the clubs, he could play in a Champions League final now. He's that good. And that's what I've been saying about a lot of these players. Isaac, Tonali, we've got a few of them. Gordon Botman when he's fit, and I know Gordon Botman didn't play obviously, but we've got so many players now that wouldn't be out of place in the Champions League final, the last 4 of the Champions League, and it's nice. And I'm going to totally deviate here. Something I loved, had the team photo from the dressing room. It's Jamal Lascelles with the trophy, and that was
marvelous.
He was in the championship. You know what I mean? Give him a
He
testimonial.
lifted it as well. He's
I saw that.
the 3 of them, which I thought was a lovely.
I have to
touch.
say, I didn't notice that enough, I'm honest, until afterwards when I watched it back. That they almost waited a bit, didn't they? He had like almost like a hand on it type of thing, which I thought was nice. And And I was also thrilled, and I suppose it had to happen because he was on the field. I was so happy Trippier and him did it together because I thought Bruno it's his captain, so he might just do it all. But it was literally they were arm in arm all the way up the stairs, like they were not taking a step ahead of each other almost. You know what I mean? Which was lovely because I thought, and I will for 2 seconds just move to the game. The first, I think, half an hour to 35 minutes, Trippier was just head and shoulders above anyone on the field.
He was brilliant.
There was other
Best
teams, I think.
Game he has ever had for Trips.
Did you all panic when he started holding his hamstring as
Oh,
well?
mate, 100%. I didn't know the guy next to us.
Yeah.
I went, oh my God.
That's when Mox Tears first started.
It looked bad, right? It looked bad because once his shorts were high
touching
up
it,
and he's
touching
rubbing,
it,
I'm
yeah.
thinking, oh my God.
Aye.
And so was that his hamstring or his calf?
Definitely his hamstring.
And this time he managed to run it off.
He did. But I just thought, like, because
it was a few minutes, but like probably 10 to 5 minutes before half time. And you were like, just get him off, get him off.
Get him
I'm
off
like,
because I was
no,
worried.
they're just going to try and get him through to half time.
the warmed up
See if
target
he can
straight
get
away.
some-
How turned on the target and said, get up.
Did he?
And he was
I didn't
warming
notice
up.
that.
And that's when I thought,
Yeah, he
shit,
was
this is
down.
bad. But Trippier kind of said to the staff, like, just give us some time. I'm all right, type of thing.
You know, if Trippier goes off, we don't score the first goal.
Well, exactly. You're absolutely right.
He takes
It's
corners,
his corner, and
Aye.
I don't think that corner would have been the same, right, or whatever. But I think, again, sorry, I am just going to talk the game for a second before I forget. What I was surprised in the game was how direct both teams were. If I'm honest, I was really surprised, especially of Liverpool. If I'm honest,
Keller went long a few times.
yeah, because they were playing it short to the goalkeeper. I think maybe Van Dijk was taking the goal kick, for example. He passed to the keeper, and I thought, right, you're doing that to start your football. But no, they just went long. And no offense here, you got Dan Burn, who was, I mean, would literally headbutt a car for you today. Of all days,
He would have headbutted his mother.
he would have, right? And he's up against who was he? He was up against Salah, for example, Jota and Diaz. Whoever was maybe drifting in the middle. He is winning that header, lads. Like no matter what, he's going to win that header. Oh, he was unbelievable.
And even without the goal, he was brilliant. He said that he ate everything.
Yeah.
He just gobbled it up.
I didn't know if it was just my vantage point, but I've been speaking to people today. His defensive headers,
because you were level with him.
yeah. His headers, right? Like they were like volleys away. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
They seem to be going from like he was off balance sometimes and headering away, and it was going the halfway line. I'm like, how are you headering it that far?
Well, I think the first one was about 30 seconds into the game.
Yeah,
The ball just came out, he went boom out of it.
Right? And to go back to what I was trying to mean about trips here was I did feel both teams were quite direct. Like, even though I thought we were the better side and we did try to play football when we could early doors, I did feel Shea was trying to go long to turn the defense around, get Isak on the ball, maybe blah, blah, blah. There was a few times where there were, I'm not saying putting pressure on because there weren't, but there was potentially a tricky moment coming. And Trippier was just ice cold back the goalkeeper. I think he did that 5 times. Just ice cool back the keeper. Everyone calmed down.
They were trying to double up on Trippier as well a few times. They went long. Kelleher went long in the first half in particular. And you could see their fullback. I'm not going to name it because I can't remember who it was. It was too awful. Of course,
Robinson and Diaz.
And straight on Trippier, and he was brilliant. He was
unreal.
Unreal.
Because and we have seen it in the last couple of weeks. Is that ball in behind, and that was 100% their tactic. Is what they were trying to do, because we know we haven't got a particularly quick defense. Other than probably Tino's the only one that's got any pace that's there at the minute, but they just read everything so well, and that calmness from Trippier with those headed passes back to the keeper, because like you say, there was a good 4 or 5 opportunities.
It felt almost in a row.
He did that, and it just instantly just nullified that threat. Whereas, if it just hadn't been for everything just falling into place, it might have been that just went over the top of Trippier. He doesn't quite get there.
Yeah.
But again, when it was just in that little bit further for Trippier to get to, Pope was straight out. He was there.
I thought
he headed it clear a couple of times.
Excellent.
Well, actually, sorry. So if I can go right back then, the lineup itself, were you? Because a lot of talk was between Dubravka and Pope, right?
Yeah.
Like, who do you think would start? Were you shocked it was Pope, or were you pleased it was Pope?
I thought it'd be Pope all along. I didn't want it necessarily. I felt sorry with Dubravka because he's played in every round.
I think Kris, you were more Dubravka. I think maybe. Or thinking it.
So on the Friday night, Mark, what you said Pope will start, and I was like, I said I can't see Pope starting. I said, personally, I would prefer Dubravka start, but that save that Pope makes, like,
from Jones,
that save that he makes, like,
all he had to do, didn't he?
He's made the right decision.
No, it's not. He did really well with a couple of good clearances. He marshaled, swept, saves wise. Yeah. But like his punching was excellent. His hands were great. He came and cleared the ball. He wiped. Was it Diaz that he wiped out early on?
I thought his starting position all afternoon was amazing.
Yeah,
because it goes to the point that you were making about balls over the top. they're trying to turn with defence wrong because of Pope's starting position, they weren't really able to do that. If that makes sense, they ended off just being a long ball.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
And that's the difference for me. Not to bang on about the keeper argument again, but is why Pope is in there.
They tell you what it is as
that
well.
save was amazing.
For all
Unreal.
they played when they played Chelsea last year, they played those youngins. Was it the same team that started against PSG?
Oh, it was full.
It was
full
that,
strength,
that was
Pretty much, but that was a very
it was as strong as
team.
they could have played it.
full whack. Yeah.
It's not as and we were. I mean, in the WhatsApp groups and whatnot, saying that extra time on Tuesday might really take. But Liverpool are starting to struggle a bit. And when you've got Salah, that's been a long season, extra games in the Champions League will be a factor. Salah and Van Dijk are like 70 years between them, whatever it is, 35, 34, something like that. Like loads of little things I thought like that could play out. I wasn't very confident before, but these little things that I thought this could be it.
Well,
And it was.
obviously, I mentioned Trippier there. Like I said about the first half an hour, I was quite waxing lyrical when I was sitting there going like Trippier again, clap, clap, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't just them headers back as well. Every time Diaz got the ball, bang, he was just on him the second he got the ball and was taken off him. But then I thought as the game went on, I thought it was Joe Linton for me that just like he almost was like 2 times, and he probably was, just seemed 2 times bigger than anyone in that midfield.
He ran past us on the one away coming home. Honestly, he hasn't stopped.
He was
incredible.
immense, wasn't he?
He was fantastic.
Must have
That's
passed an ollie
immense.
twice because he went home
Honestly,
back and home again.
do you know what it is? That challenge at the end as well. Like
Oh, yeah.
he's trying with everything. He's like, I'm just gonna bring you down no
Oh,
matter
he
what it
just
takes.
clotheslined him
You're
out, yeah.
coming with me.
There was
unbelievable.
I will say there
Absolutely
was another moment as well that sticks in my head where I'm not saying the crowd went flat 'cause I do not want to really say that, but it was a bit
Nervy.
nervy. That's probably a better
Yeah.
word. And then Joe Linton made a challenge. It was towards my side, and
Yeah.
it was a really good. And he like kind of roared at the crowd, and it almost just sort of lifted everyone again to get the scarves out and
There
start
was
going.
at
do you know what I
one
mean?
point he did that to the Liverpool.
It was
fans.
unreal, wasn't
Yeah, he did.
I do think he forgot where he was.
Because
Because
he did a Liverpool.
yeah, he went. I don't know if you
that,
realize
that was almost like a war cry at them. Like,
Yeah.
imagine you're a Liverpool fan and you've got that standing, staring you down, screaming at you like that.
And can I also that tackle that he did, by the way, was mint because he
He
tracked that player back into the position he is. Let's be fair.
keeps up with him.
Probably
all the
shouldn't
way.
be there.
I thought he broke his back the way he was rolling around on the
But
floor.
remember the celebration against Brentford where he just ran the length of the pitch?
Yeah.
He did that 4 or 5 times. Yesterday, it felt like it was a block he put on like on the Gerald box where he's ran 30, 40 yards back, got the block, and he was doing it going forward. He was excellent.
And I think
His decision making as well. His decision making was absolutely
that's
perfect.
what I was going to say because I don't want to do him a disservice by saying that he was hard as nails because he was.
Yeah.
But when the ball was a bit like, let's say Burns headed it back and Van Dijk stuck it back, and it was a bit not head tennis-ish, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He was the man that chest down played it.
Yeah.
Like he was recycling the ball
Yep.
so well. He was just immense for the full
We were
night,
doing very well on the second balls.
Totally
Brilliant,
agree with
yeah.
you.
This
Totally agree,
game, because again, there's been times where we've struggled with that part of the game, but it seemed that we were winning everything in there, and like we know what that midfield 3 can do, and we all spoke about the fact if those 3 can perform on the day, then that is our biggest opportunity to come away with a victory. And God, did they?
Do you know what it is?
You can't like pick them 3
I'm
apart.
going to stop
because
crying again.
they were unbelievable. But again, you're going to say it. You then look at the entire back 5 were unbelievable.
Yeah.
Going forward, although we had limited chances, the amount of chances that we did create, those balls that they were playing, they were chasing them down. Like you said earlier, we could have scored 4 or 5.
Yeah. They made 2 or 3.
We definitely
on the
should
line.
have scored 1 more because I'm not sure about that disallowed goal.
The offside one.
I'm still not.
But do you know what it is? I think if you take that away, it might
I don't
not
want to
end
take it
up-
away. I want it given.
No, but if you take it away, I think I don't know. I think the fact that that decision goes against us because Isak wasn't happy about it, it just makes him more determined. So I think everything that which happened on Sunday worked in our favour, like everything. And you mentioned the midfield 3, like how many times was Tonali shoulder to shoulder with a player and just all the way, then at the end just nicking the ball.
Yeah.
Like he was so strong, like unbelievable. And we said beforehand, we said every player needs to be top of their game to get a result here. And there were more so.
Do you know what it is? Well, I think we all said that. I definitely said this. I felt like every one of our players had to turn up and we needed Liverpool to just be a little bit off.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. And I do not want to start saying that them were off. I think
We
I've
will.
just
I-
said- even though I've
we
just
allowed
said
them to be on.
that's what I'm thinking.
I think that's
we,
right. Yeah.
we never let them get in any sort of rhythm. Every time, listen, they passed the ball a little bit on the back, but as soon as them got in dangerous areas, we're just on them. We're just on them getting the ball back. And to Mark's point, I thought second balls was so important that it seemed to be it. It was like sometimes I felt like we had an extra man. If I'm being really honest, like we just seemed to be. I don't know. There just seemed to be more of us. I thought we were more hungry. I thought, and I'm going to go back to the fans again. I thought that we were more hungry. I just felt as a club we were more hungry than them were on that day.
And you see that the Liverpool team that Slot has kind of developed across the season is you see them being quite aggressive, being quick to the ball, wanting to win it and stuff like that, kind of very much like what we are like at our best. And I think they've forced that onto a lot of teams, and they've done it to us. They did it to a couple of weeks ago, and how was quite. It was quite interesting in Howard's words.
I do want to get you. We may come to that later, but if you want to do it now, but I'm quite interested in your thoughts on that comment
about like not showing his hand and stuff like that, which I do think there's something to in that. But
I feel a bit sorry for the ones that travelled all the way doing there.
You wouldn't have wanted to, you wouldn't have wanted
I'm
to
sure
have
they're okay
lost
with
the
that.
game. But I think the.
But he even mentioned, well, it's not just like he said some of the players didn't know.
That's what was a good. He said the players. I made sure the players went away
give
with
too
that.
much away the players.
But
Yeah.
Which is mad, right?
And I'm on the back of that, and I'll put that in the group this morning. And when Tino wouldn't use his left foot last week,
That's West Ham.
and we put a cross in with his left foot, and we scored from yesterday. He's been told like Tino was going to play there.
How he digs that cross out.
It's a great cross.
It's literally on the byline.
Jacob
almost
Murphy,
falls over.
Chamberlain, and Les Ferdinand at the back post as well. Isak's movement. You see Isak just peel off, go to the penalty spot, and that's it.
And I don't know.
Good finish as well.
I will never argue with you again. You know why? But that was what I was meaning about the West Ham game. You know, being alongside the centre half and then doing that, like coming away. Does that make sense? And then trying to get a cut back. And I have to say, Murphy did phenomenal for that goal. But Livramento, I mean, he almost fouls out. Bless him. He digs it that much. He's like, you know what I mean, trying to keep his balance. But another player I want to mention is Harvey Barnes. Now, the reason I want to mention him is if I'm being honest, I came away from the game thinking I was talking about Joe Linton all the time. I was talking about Dan Burn all the time. And when I watched the game back for the third time, actually, pretty much a lot of everything we did went through Barnes. All the good moments came through Barnes.
He was very, very proactive every time he got that ball.
He was. And I certainly didn't leave the game when we didn't play well. That was not what I'm trying to say. It's just I didn't feel anybody was talking about him. It was all Joe Linton, it was all Dan Burn, it was all Trippier, blah, 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 blah. And Barnes had such an important part in that game.
He was excellent. He was really, really good.
He got in a great area to win the corner originally for the first goal because he kind of comes from the right-hand side over to the left, tries to have a shot, corner, Trippier, Burn, goal. The second one, he does a link up with Tino. And there was other moments in the game as well. I mean, he set up Isak, which the keeper saves very well.
Yes, he does.
There's not really much more. The only thing I would say Barnes got wrong in the entire game was he should have shot and he tried to pass.
When he kind of tried to cut it back,
That was it. And fair credit to you, mate, because I appreciate Besty you were saying you didn't feel nervous and you've got world-class players. I totally agree with you. The leading up to that losing Gordon by suspension and hold for the season, I was like, oh my God. So I was a bit on the downside, if that makes sense. Not like to the point where I thought we were going to lose necessarily, but I did think we we're going to be up against it here. But Barnes filled in on Sunday so well.
He was excellent. He was excellent.
He was. I'm going to go back to the donations, boys, because we only got through one of them. So that was from Josh. His first £50. He follows us up with another donation. He just says, "I just want to add an extra £20 on top of the 50 to significantly." Oh, sorry, I can't even. My eyes. Like, how can you see that?
I've got very good eyes.
Yeah, go on. Read that.
So Josh Stockton, who donates £20, says, I just wanted to add an extra 20 on top of the 50 to signify the end of our domestic trophy drought. We won United. You'll line that better. Catch up with us tomorrow. I'm off to watch the game back. Much love to you and everyone in the chat. Cheers, Josh. A very generous man, Josh.
He's very generous.
So was he down Wembley as well?
Yeah,
he was there.
I've seen some photos of Josh as well.
Actually, while I've got the mic, I was talking to him. I know. I've got the floor. I was talking to Houston, a little lad called Gavin, who I said I'd say hello to. He's flew out to Vegas from London this morning. I was talking to him and his dad this morning. So he said he bumped into. Were you in a Steelers hat? He said you were in the Pittsburgh Steelers hat. I know Adam up was the Penguins, the Pirates hat. But he said, oh well. So he said I was the best one. He says it's better when I'm on.
All right, okay.
When I'm basically didn't really bother watching.
Who was? Oh, sorry.
I call Gavin. A nice fella.
Has he confused these podcasts?
Did you know what it is like?
He's waiting for us to go back on True Faith.
Waiting
for us to go back on True Faith, I think, as well.
We bumped into so many people over the weekend. You know what?
People lush, aren't they?
It's really nice. It's really nice to hear people coming over and say, "Oh, lads, like I love the podcast and stuff." We're walking down the street and somebody shout, "We're one United."
Oh,
Deka.
it was, it was lush,
in the
man.
middle of
Aye.
the street.
'Cause I keep thinking people are going to come over and just go, "You're a prick, you." That's all. I just let them stick.
That's just when you get here. We'll do that on Monday night.
That's what you think.
But no, honestly, I have to echo that. Like, it was so nice, man. Like,
Yeah.
so many people. We met 2 people at the end of the game, didn't we?
Yeah,
And then we're just so lovely as well. And like, it's just really lovely people.
it's
You know what I
lush.
mean?
It's absolutely lush, man.
Two lads in the Archers that were standing talking about. One of them
Aye.
likes Maxie the prick.
Oh yes, my mate. It was funny. There's a second thing he said. I love the show, mate, and I also am a fan of Maxie. And then he went, "Don't tell Mark." Immediately, I went, "Mark."
Like, lad, we've got
Because he said to me 5 minutes before, Maxie's shite.
we've got a few more. We've got £10 from Ben Dukes that says, "Even lads, I've been watching the pod for years and think you deserve something for the hours you've given us. Hopefully, see you at the parade." Follows up with "One, you know."
29th of March, a parade apparently.
We need to get "One, yeah" t-shirts, mate, don't we?
Week on Saturday.
We put the brick on the accelerator as donate £5 says, "Just love to say, I think you chaps are all class, especially Deka." That must be from your mother.
And that's if I can say, we put the brick on the accelerator as a really nice.
Derek Petley Senior.
It's a nice Father Ted reference. That
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. We've got £20 from El Grande Salmon. That says, "Spend this on Kleenex for the tears." And then the rewatch.
Did no one spend any money this weekend? The Marble
Maybe it was cheaper than people thought. And Simon Logan, if everybody will remember Simon. There was a bit more once before between Simon
And Josh.
years ago in lockdown.
Simon's a great photographer as well.
He's fantastic. And he says, "I'm the same as Mark. I haven't stopped blubbering, and Mark's just set me off again. What a feeling yesterday was. Sat in my local down south as the only proper Geordie in the building and crying in front of everybody."
It's better to have Mark set you off than finish you off, in fairness. Like.
Well,
But like, do you know what it is? Even at full time, Mark, like you were very, very, very emotional at full time. Like for a good half an hour, I would say. Every time I was looking, there was a puddle at one point, and the fella behind us, like he must have been in his late 60s, I would say, and he started blubbering as well. And you were going to say Mark joke.
No, I thought about it, but I thought, no, I've already.
And he was a kind of age, and he said, "Oh, like I'm here, my grandson, like, and he saw Newcastle with a cup the same time as what I have.
Yeah.
It's took all my life to get this far."
That's what was getting me is that whole stuff. It didn't matter where you looked, like everybody was affected by it because like there's so many of us that haven't seen that. There's so many of us that are no longer with us that weren't lucky enough to see it. And you know, I mean, I was looking at the sky loads of times through it just because you all of these thoughts do go through your head. There was a lady who was standing next to Kris, and like we went 1-0 up, and it was just a couple of minutes after that, like where it's sinking in that you're leading 1-0, just being able to score a goal in the final, because we've been to 4, it's never happened like that. That was a euphoria in just that moment. And I turned around and she was stood there, and then I could see her lip was going and she had tears in her eyes, and I just gave her a cuddle, and that then started me off. And it was just everywhere you looked, there was just an outpouring of emotion and so many different things, because you had like little younger people that haven't gone through all of this, the situation that we have, and they were just ecstatic, over the moon, as you started then going through like the older generations and stuff like that have had to go through and suffer so much shite over the years that we come to this situation where you look at and think, I've been waiting all of my life for this moment, all of those ups and downs, and it's finally here. And it was just that outpouring of relief, happiness, joy, sadness of you know, the people that haven't been able to enjoy it. It was just everything rolled into one, and it just made it so special.
There's a generation of people of retirement age who's never seen Newcastle score. Well, Alan Galloway in '76, but haven't seen Newcastle do what we do. There'll have been very few people that were there in '55 that were there yesterday. They probably count on one hand, I'd guess, because it's 70 years ago, and obviously to be that age to go to a game and all that. So like it's a huge thing, and it's a massive monkey off our back. How many years have we been the butt of the joke? You know, I saw a thing shared. It was 358 days since Liverpool's last trophy, and 25,000 and something since ours. And I don't know if that was 69. I've not done the arithmetic on that one. But like, there's 30,000 that can like say we were there. As the scarf thing, I didn't think I'd bring my scarf tonight. When I was a kid, my dad was at a 76 cup final. He was 18 at the time. He won September season. It was just before he turned 19. And he had a black, I remember his wardrobe, he had a black kind of polyester vinyl scarf. It was 1976 cup final, and it was like it was white print on black that was kind of coming off it. It was like magpie, and it was a kind of, you could just make out what it said. And now I've got one that my kids can see.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that's meant, man.
Well, that's like there's. I know we all know, and there'll be a lot of people that know Doug, who he's all on Twitter and stuff like that. He took his original 1976 flag and scarf down to Wembley with him. He was there with his sons at the match as well. Jamie, who's the lead singer of the K's, which are a fantastic band. He's just had a grandson in the last few weeks.
Oh yeah, he has. That's right.
And like, obviously, he didn't have the grandson there with him, but he's then
Just because that was the one that was down at Covent Garden.
He's now got that generational thing of going through that. It's finally happened.
He's a lush bloke, Doug, as well.
He's
He's lush
brilliant, absolutely top man.
Was it Doug that put the wreath on the pitch at Anfield on the anniversary Hillsborough that time?
Oh, I can't
In
remember.
93, I'm sure it was.
I can't remember.
I think
Oh,
I
yeah.
have a picture.
Do you know what? Well, I look, it's referencing everything you've said, really. But you know, like when, because like obviously I was sitting on my own, right?
Right.
And like, I always find, and this will be for every club, so I'm not just saying it's just us, but what I mean in general about footballers, you find you're hugging and kissing people you've never met, you don't know who they are, and like I was hugging someone in front of me, I had no idea who they were. You know what I mean? It's I always find them moments in the games amazing. Like when that happens,
class, aye.
you're just hugging someone for the sheer joy of what you're watching.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing that I think.
But that's you're connected
Yes,
to that event
Yeah.
because we all just love Newcastle.
Yeah.
We're all there
Yeah.
for exactly the same reason: is to go in and watch them players on the pitch live your dream, because that's what you wanted to do as a kid growing up, was to be able to go out on that pitch. And I mean, Dan Burns lived that dream.
Yeah.
He scored
What a weekend
goal
for
in
him,
the
by
cup
the way.
final for Newcastle United. The weekend he's been called up for England,
Aye.
and I mean, I thought that was going to be my proudest moment, was just seeing Dan Burn
Aye.
doing that, and then going into that. But like, I you know, you're talking about you having that shared connection with the strangers. For me, I got to enjoy it with my best mates.
Yeah.
You know, that I was sitting with, and also my uncle, who was with her as well, and like it's. But that's how how special
He's doing
it
this
is.
yesterday, and he's getting me every single time. Every time he's doing this, he's our starting.
Because that was the thing for me, was like, God, like how much I am enjoying this moment, but then I could see the joy on everybody else's face and like do it like God, you this doesn't happen.
It was the same
It
for
doesn't
Hartlepool.
happen.
Everyone had their own. Like my thing with the 1976 flag, their scarf. Everyone else had their own thing that was like, oh God, it's you know what it gets you. The Dan Burns goal seemed to take like a week to go in. By the way, for anyone else.
I thought that because he headed it and I wasn't sure if I'd gone in or not. Do you know what I mean? It felt like it, but mind you, he was about 2 miles away from the goal. Like when he headed
it from like Leytonstone. Like it was.
Unbelievable. I mean, we tried that a couple of times in the build up to that,
Yeah.
of delivering it deep, and
It's funny, listen to how he said that they tried that and Gin never worked once.
Yeah.
But it worked then.
but that again comes from the way that Liverpool set up, is because they have Van Dijk and Klopp, probably more of a zonal marking.
Yeah,
So he
yeah,
was
6 yard
free
box.
a lot of the times, and there was a couple he did get his head on, but just
Well,
to put it back into the mix. and stuff
Barnes
like
did
that.
quite
But
well there.
Yeah.
Listen, he didn't. It wasn't that a case of literally holding someone to let Burn in, but he just stood in front of Burn to give McAllister somebody else to think about.
Aye.
And I agree with you that they've obviously worked on Van Dijk, marks the middle, the
Yeah.
centre area, which I do find mad if I'm honest. Like
It's unusual.
I'm not saying that listen, the top of the leagues, who am I, right? But that might work against other teams. But if you've got someone who's 90 feet, you mark him, mate, because like he's going to be the guy. Like,
Okay,
you know
I
what
think
mean?
that on.
Yeah, it's been a bit mad. I think that.
But it was I was watching because it was going directly away from me. Where my seat was happened to be like pretty much a straight line to the corner.
Yeah, you were the
from
opposite
his head.
corner to us,
I was
weren't
in the back of Wembley, such as it is, and I was just waiting for a foot because you know the one that we had in the first half where Harvey Barnes directs it and Kelleher makes a save.
Yeah,
I was just waiting for a foot to direct it towards the keeper, or like maybe it's Van Dijk's foot, and I'm watching it in a sports film like Mighty Ducks. It probably happens where it goes in slow motion.
Slow motion.
And it's like,
Yeah.
and everyone's like,
Yeah.
and it went in. I was like, oh, what do I do?
Aye.
So I was giving me
it
Kieran
did take
like
a
I'll give him
second just to
Aye.
It did for me. That was a long second as well. Like, it felt a long time.
But can I just address what a time to score that goal, though?
Well, I literally
Just
we
before
got that corner and I went, because we'd had those couple of chances. I looked up at the clock and I went, this would be a wonderful time to score, wouldn't it? It was just before half time.
Yeah.
Because that'll really, take the sails out of them going into that, give how the opportunity to say, lads, like we're now 1-0 up at half time, and God, what a way for them to get up and put it away. Unbelievable.
The celebrations were immense, by the way. Not fans, I mean the pitch.
It was
the way the subs interacted with him scoring, like you could really see how much that meant. Like,
all the blokes.
it was almost like full time. Was that gone? That celebration for that goal was just phenomenal.
It was
as well. That was
Yes,
really
you're totally
tough.
right.
You never see him get
Uncharacteristic,
carried
wasn't it?
away
How
like
might give
that.
it the odd yes and then back to the bench type of thing. He was literally running along.
Aye.
Yeah.
But that's
that
that's why it's
celebration
even more
there.
special.
And I do not want to go over past because it's not always what people like. Yeah, but you know when Rob Lee scored, and it's a slow motion video of him, and he just gives that little fist bump, and Rob Lee scores.
Quite telling,
Like how one it'll be the same level for me, because I love that moment of that footage and that one with how when he jumps out of his chair. Tyndall's already away, and Tyndall's over there.
Oh, aye.
And
Which
he's
you
like
expect from him.
Yeah,
He
Tyndall's
does it
away.
every week.
And I agree with you. I think Howe knew just how big of a moment that was for Byrne himself, but also the moment in the game in terms of when you're scoring.
100%.
You know, it was huge.
And it's that whole the weight that's lifted off your shoulders from that, because you've gotten that. I mean, I can't remember who is it. There's a clip that again where I've seen where it's like they talk about the curse is broken, like that's what it feels like. We've talked about the bloody the curse on the training ground in recent weeks, lasting 100 years and stuff like that. And thankfully somebody must have popped at the top of the big market and had a word with them, because that ain't a thing anymore. And it just felt like again that outpouring of relief and celebration. And I think that just again going into half time gave with that massive boost, but also relaxed with a little bit, because it just meant that we can do this now. Yeah, because
we 100% deserve to be ahead in the game, and it was one of them where you think, God, if we do go in 0-0 at half time, yes, I'll go down and chat with people at half time, and I'll be like, yeah, we've played really well, but we've got no reward from it. And it was so nice to get that goal. Then my mindset was, God, I really hope we don't change though, like in sort of try and defend that one goal. And we absolutely didn't do that. Like we came out just the same way again.
In the car on the way down, so we drove down Saturday morning, me, Kieran, Paul and Tom in the car together. And we're talking about, for some reason, talking about Mourinho's Chelsea when they won the league in 2005, was it? And how what they would do was they would score just before half time and they'll get a second to kill a game off early in the second half. And it was like, that's how that was their thing. I mean, obviously, you kind of always like dictate that's going to happen. That's exactly what we did on Saturday, yesterday.
And you know, like we scored. I mean, to be fair, Isak wasn't able to get in the game really at all in the first half, and that was due to perhaps
he was pulling out wide quite a lot. I think he tried to pull the defense. Like quite often it was Barnes that was on the end of things.
Yeah.
Because Barnes can finish, you know.
And that with them as well. I mean, he scored the goal, which I don't know if the Bruno situation, if you want to go to that now, I don't know. But you were saying you don't think it was perhaps an offside. I mean, he is offside. No, I mean, Kris had this debate in the car.
How can Bruno be in his line of sight if he saves it?
Is that what I was getting for? Bruno being offside?
Yeah, Isak's on. Isak's onside.
I didn't know.
I've not seen it back.
But Bruno is standing in front of the goalkeeper. However, he's not blocking him in any way, and he makes the same save regardless if Bruno's there or not.
Right.
So, but I think it's a letter of the law. Like if he's standing in front of him, it's offside.
Keep his eye line.
But I do. Well, I've watched it so many times back, and I have to say, I think it's very soft.
If Bruno's not there, he's not making that save any better.
It's just the same save.
I honestly didn't know that was the case. I was offside.
He's actually miles on.
Miles on.
Which again, then points the question at is why isn't the VAR announced when it is then, you know, obviously in the second half?
That was a terrible.
Then that situation.
I mean, obviously they scored and all that, like, and it was, but that VAR announcement. Half the crowd thought he'd said offside.
Offside, yeah.
I thought he
said
onside when he does that.
I went, no, he's onside.
Exactly what
as soon as he does that, it's like, well, it's to overturn the original decision.
Yeah.
But then on the tannoy, it says, well, it was like St James's Park, the PA there, and a lot of people heard onside, and they were sort of cheering around me. I was like, he said offside there, like that.
Yeah.
But it was such a. The game's never made better by VAR. Like we waited ages for these that one. It felt like, and we'd already
played 30 minutes of added time by that point as well.
And then that one took ages to get right, and it looked really
Long time.
obvious.
I thought it did, yeah.
Yeah,
Seeing it back myself now, I'm like, it's onside.
he's
Move on.
miles on side.
Let's
Yeah,
give it, if you're going to give it. Now, what I haven't seen though, and maybe you just watched it back. I've watched the game 3 times now, but through TS mostly, like, but Eddie Howe's mentioned this in his post match, and Trippier did
it, yeah.
handball. He said there's a handball in the build up to that goal that shouldn't have counted. But I have to say I haven't seen that handball.
Oh,
yeah,
Nunez apparently Trippier handball one in the box as well.
I've heard that one. Yeah,
I've seen it still, but it still doesn't give you this. I don't know.
Yeah.
But apparently, yes, I've in the fallout from that on like Instagram or something. I've seen someone say, "Oh yeah, Nunez handballed it in the build up for theirs as well." But then that doesn't count because we saw that when we scored at Tottenham when Joe hits Joe Linton's hand. Unless it's intentional handball, obviously. But that one, so I don't know. Yeah. I've not seen it back. I probably don't know. I don't care. To be honest with you. So I don't know.
What I will
I
say
haven't
is
seen that one, but the Trippier one, when I saw that back, I went, "Ooh."
Is it bad? Is it?
I
didn't notice it at all.
But he's like it 100% hits his hand, but he's got his arm out. But they're saying it's a natural position and the ball bounces to it, and like Diaz did claim for it at the time, but like it didn't. Also, obviously, because it was in our corner where it happened,
right?
And there didn't seem to be anything in it at the time. But Diaz was adamant.
No recollection of it at all. I
didn't. It was early on. It was 0-0 at the time.
Yeah.
So like, again, just the circumstances. If that's given, we're in a completely different game.
I think what we do need to talk about as well, just moving away from the moments in the games as well, is the interviews from the players afterwards, because like bless Bruno, we know he's an emotional character anyway.
Aye.
But I think turned into Bruno in the last 24 hours.
I think he's the first one that the cameras get a hold of, and he is an absolute wreck.
Yeah,
like he's in bits, bless him. And do you know the one which got me? Yeah, it's great hearing from everybody, really is. But it's a Joe Linton one because he's getting an interview and they're talking about like how he struggled when he first came to the club. And he's talking normal, then you just see the tears like streaming down his face.
I watched that at about 1:30 in the morning in my bed when I just got into it, and I was not emotionally ready for that video.
Yeah, I was out of thing when I was sitting. It wasn't actually from yesterday's game. I was sitting in the bar. I was just sitting in the corner, a couple of beers, and it was someone put it. I forget who put it on now, but someone put the letter that Dan Bernstein sent him before the conference, and I was like,
time as well.
I started reading. I was like, we'll keep that. That's for another time. That one. I'm not now. But what I loved yesterday, right? And this is it's not the best show now for a change. I was stood in the bar, literally just got my first pint in the corner. I was sitting full time, and like the lads, it was a big group, like Hebden lads who I've known for like years, and I just kind of stood talking to each other, and they're laughing, and they're happy, and they're singing songs, having a beer. I took myself away. I was stood in the corner, I was on my phone, because I haven't looked at my phone all day, really. And like, this is lush. Just a nice. The atmosphere was lush. Everyone was there happy with their old mates, and like I say, they're singing and chatting. It's like, and it was the nicest. A pub in like Middlesex just totally randomly happens to be near Wembley. It was beautiful. It was so nice, man. And I was stood at the bar, and there was a Man U fan, but a Cockney Man U fan, who was talking to us, and he was there with his brother and all that. And in the end, they were singing the songs with us. It was lush. It was the best weekend you could have ever. It couldn't have gone any better than it did.
Like honestly, we
really
walking,
couldn't have done.
Like when we were walking to the car after the game, because like, God, what time did we get in the car? It's like about 8:30 or something.
8:30,
so we walked from Wembley to where the car was parked, which was like a 40-minute walk. And there's so many times that people are just go, "Oh, like so glad you was won."
I load like red lights and stuff going on, tune and all this.
Keeping the horns in there.
Like, in the morning, I forgot my ticket in the morning, so I had to go back to the hotel. I literally we went Limehouse. I got like Banks 2 stops away, and we're between Shadwell and Bank, and maybe queuing the tickets because we were in my bag, but we just both left without even thinking about them. So I went back and I walked back to the hotel, and I was crossing the road, and I said, I say the jury's in town because I was wearing this top. I thought I was wearing these clothes. I've changed my underwear, and that's it. So that's why Kris is moving away from it. Because I'm humming. But
you're always humming.
Like, at least I haven't burped too much. I don't have any garlic. And then on the way back to the tube station, there's people beeping their horns and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, hang on a sec. And they weren't Geordies necessarily, although it was this is good. This like,
no, I said it in the drive home. I said everybody outside of Liverpool supporters wanted Newcastle to win that. Like everybody,
even like all like the build up and stuff like that, because obviously we were in the pub before the game and stuff. There were like all of the pundits, the neutrals and stuff like that were talking about you know, how they want for the Newcastle fans to see that victory and end that drought that has been there, and like how special it would be. So it did almost feel that everybody except Jamie Carragher in the world wanted us to win that game.
But even Carragher, from what I've seen, seemed to be quite gracious and quite,
the Allworth.
I thought he really was, actually. I thought he was.
Do you know what I really like is the lads on the overlap. Nobody gave Newcastle a chance. Nobody on that. And Gary Neville, there's a quote going around where he says that Newcastle never turn up at Wembley. Then when he's on commentary,
right.
But when he's on commentary, he says, "I've never seen Wembley shake."
Yeah.
And that's after the Dan Burn one. And like
he says after the East goal, he says, "I'm almost in tears myself." Like, at how happy he was that what
because
happened.
the noise. I said all last when I got home. Like bless Wallace, I rang at 1:30 in the morning to see if you wanted a McDonald's.
I said, "What are you doing?"
Just fancy. Do you want a McDonald's?
Should work today as well.
Aye.
I work.
I got at 7 o'clock. I was seeing one a chicken nugget.
How many?
How many did I get?
How many nugs? I.
Maybe 20. I had a
Nah,
cheeseburger.
He had a whole lot himself because he didn't want now.
You didn't know.
Cross
But like I got in there, I said to us, I've never heard noise like that. Yes, it's loud in St. James Park when we score a goal, but when Dan Burns scored that header, the noise was phenomenal. I've heard nothing like it. And like I even took a moment afterwards and looked around just to see everybody else celebrate because there was limbs everywhere.
Aye.
Yeah, there was. Well, same as full time. I thought full time was immense as well when the whistle went. The volume was just incredible. It was amazing. I thought. Oh, I just want to mention. We'll probably talk about the finish maybe because Isak's goal. Going back to what I said, feels like 20 minutes ago. That Isak wasn't particularly involved in the game that much.
Mm-hmm.
That finish for that goal,
Great finish. That. Just sweeps it in, doesn't he?
Unbelievable. Just catches it on the bounce on the way up type of thing. Bang, finish. Unbelievable.
Now,
the celebration is the greatest photo of all time.
Something I didn't realise.
It was right in front of us.
Until I listened to, I forget which podcast it was now, on the way back from London just there, a couple hours ago, was that I felt dead nervous after they scored. And I'm like, oh, no. Because if it goes extra time, that the one mattered. And that's when I was saying earlier about the first one being the hardest. And if it doesn't happen now, God, it's going to be harder again. But Liverpool didn't touch the ball in our third after they scored. We're absolutely
managed the game.
Joe Willock had the ball in the corner for about a week.
Fantastic.
There was a moment though where Callum Wilson gets put through and he's one-on-one with the goalkeeper and he starts heading towards the goal and you're going,
he goes,
nah. And I'm thinking, is he going, I'd love to see him score a goal, but I'm like, no, corner flag, another goal, corner flag, and then you can see him having that dilemma, and then he goes out to the corner flag, and I'm like, thank God for that.
But Callum Wilson, a striker of his age, never scored in a cup final before. Yeah. He isn't going to get many more chances. Let's be totally fair here, right? To have the presence of mind.
Yeah.
Selflessness. He did it in the World
100%.
Cup. Remember the World Cup when he squared one for Grealish when he could have a shot himself? Mm-hmm. England were like 5-0 up against Iran or something like that. And instead of taking a shot, he thought, right, Grealish scores this one. That's brilliant. That, like, what a pro, man.
Just to stick with Callum Wilson, I'm not sure if you've seen the video of him getting off the plane. But he's one of the last stairs, and he slips on the step and he goes, you heard what he says? He says, not another injury.
I was wondering, I've not watched it with sound on.
He slips and he goes, not another injury.
No, I like the bit as well where he's coming down the stairs after getting the medal and he spots Andy Carroll and he just gives it the hello you that voice where he does it all the time. It's unbelievable.
It's honestly it's lush. We've had another donation from Sir Monkey Suit that says that Bruno interview killed me. The passion, the love and care he has for us. I burst. He became my favorite ever player.
I'll never say another bad word against him ever.
Is he a good captain?
And I already love him. He's the best captain we've
already forgot about that spin in the middle of the field. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it was stupid.
You heard the interview with Trips that he does with Miguel Richards and Thierry Henry. So it's Henry that says to him, like, what were your thoughts about how you conceded the goal? And he goes, like, what you're screaming at Bruno. You see, was that Bruno that did that? Yeah, and he's I was fuming. Like, you see, I was fuming.
He tried to do that little bloody
pirouette.
I was fuming. He does it all the time. Tonali was wide open.
That came off the back, and that way you were saying about Joe Linton earlier. That was Joe Linton winning the ball, take it forward, square it. And in fairness, that was the one mistake any of the midfielders made yesterday.
I agree.
They were punished with. And remember the game at St James's? Sorry, I'll go in a second. I promise. The game at St James's, the goals they scored against a 3-3 draw, they were all mistakes. The two at Anfield were very similar. I thought that week. Yesterday, we made one mistake and they scored.
And that's what I was thinking. I thought this one, like, we're going out. They didn't play very well and they didn't do this. We made one mistake and they scored.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck.
But-
That's how
Hell
razor
of a finish from Chiesa. as
Good
well.
finish.
that's how razor sharp you've got to be. 100 minutes, right? That's how it was.
Oh yeah.
It's
But
mad
I-
that he can't get in their team as well.
He wasn't getting the Juve's team either. I
Yeah.
don't think they're very happy with him. To be honest with you.
I think as well, obviously the amount of subs them were making. I think that's where the minutes come from.
finished
I
the game
do,
with
but
8 strikers, didn't they?
yeah, and I was the amount of options coming off the bench. They took off the centre half to change formation. I think it's a hell of a lot for us to manage in game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're dealt with. Other than that one particular moment, we're dealt with absolutely everything. Fine, perfect.
Everything.
And in that, we went down to 9 men.
Oh, let's talk about that chance.
Dear me.
That
Oh
chance.
my-
So
that could have
we've
been a
got 9
tactical
men on the
genius, couldn't it?
field, and we're obviously we're getting
Isaac and
pinned.
Joe.
We're getting absolutely pinned, and they're just
Isaac and Joe
constantly going.
Linton went off injured.
Yeah, Isaac and Joe Linton are
I
off
can't
injured.
remember.
They're off injured. They're
They were
both down at the same time. They both get treatment, so they're both off. And we're basically just getting absolutely pelted at this point. Liverpool just coming out with. I can't remember.
2-1.
No,
No, there's
2-0.
2-0 still.
2-0 still, yeah.
And I think it's Tonali that nicks the ball. I might be wrong, but I think it's Tonali that nicks the ball. Then as we nick it, the ref starts sprinting because we are fucking going at this point. And the ref looks over and waves at the 2 players on. Obviously, no Liverpool are marking these 2 players, and they are sprinting into the box. And Isaac gets the ball, he tries to play it
Isak's
back
going,
across.
give us it.
There's
And
nobody there.
he gives it to Isak, and obviously Joe Linton's also just come on the field behind him, and he tries to roll into Joe Linton, but unfortunately overhits the pass.
I remember that. I can't remember them being off the pitch.
I
behind
know,
off the
yeah,
field
yeah.
for 30 seconds, like the full.
That was what was.
To be
was,
honest,
yeah,
it felt longer than 30
Oh,
seconds.
it
I'm honest.
definitely.
Yeah.
But that's
No
because the
recollection.
ball was. They had it down in
Aye.
our.
Mhm.
I think they might have got a corner or something like that. Or
The ref
throw,
basically
obviously, why
hadn't
you
turned
went
round.
out.
I was almost at the ref. I forgot they were behind him off the field.
Yeah.
And when we then broke, he then turned around and went, "Oh, actually, you two haven't come back on. Hi, lads." And all of a sudden, we're 5-on-3.
I'll tell you what
The
the,
waves them on. I've never seen players run so
Yeah,
fast
they
in
were
my
like,
life.
"Fuck."
I'll tell you what the
Both
most,
of them.
the most,
Considering Isaac had done his knee by this point as well.
the most
like-
typical Newcastle thing was Bruno flattening Tonali in a box and Tonali having to get treatment as well.
Yeah, honestly, like it's just. I'm never ever gonna forget that moment yesterday. Like it was just sensational. Everything about the full weekend, man. Like Mark said, just spending those occasions with your mates is fantastic. But just like we've already said, just greeting strangers and like being the best mates with them in that moment. Never met them before, and I'm best mates with
I don't know who
everybody.
it was in the. Forgive me, I forgot his name. There was a lad one in that bar upstairs that we went in after the thing. I think you might have known him actually.
Mate,
Like,
he was sat near us at the game.
oh, was he really?
Yeah, he was a few seats around.
Yeah, he watches.
Oh,
the
he
podcast.
walked in, he
watches
went,
the podcast
well, he-
all the
Fucking
time.
hell, you again.
when I went to the bar when we first got in, there was just a guy in front of us, and I was just kind of standing there, and then he turned around, and he went, "Oh my gosh, Deka, you have it?" And
No, no, he watches
He was right
the
there with
podcast all
us,
the
right
time,
there.
yeah. But that's it. Like he was literally in the same because we had 2 like seats like with 2 rows with seats in front and in
Like
behind.
block
and
of
stuff.
6 didn't work.
So, but then at the end of the game, because she had gone through all of that with the people that sat around you, like at the end, like of hugging and celebrating and that, when everybody then started like drifting off 2 hours after the game had finished and we'd had everything that was going on, everybody was like shaking hands, like saying bye to everybody because we'd all lived through that and just been bonded by being in those same seats, witnessing history.
Yeah.
History, mate. Do you have anything to end it on? Because I think now is probably a good time to end it.
I could
Yeah,
talk all
it's-
night,
it's
mate.
been like- I know, because I think we'll go on forever if not. And I think everybody needs the
I
bed.
need to go to bed.
You see the poll on the Newcastle app and website?
It
It was
was-
who's the man of the match? There's 4 choices and all 4 were all of them.
Oh, right,
was it?
okay.
Oh,
Aye, nice.
Shearer's Premier League team of the week's just Newcastle.
It is.
Oh,
I've
okay,
seen that.
aye.
I've seen that.
It's class, man. Like I say, it's the first time in 70 years we've even scored a goal in a cup final. Well it's not because I'm going to, but to win it and win it so convincingly against that team. I saw the Sloss quote this morning where he said, like, Newcastle, they played a certain way and we couldn't, because we controlled the game.
Mhm.
Absolutely controlled it.
Mhm.
And they couldn't, as I say, Kelleher made 2 really good saves. I had a chance early on. There was a Barnes chance where I think he's made the wrong decision, but I don't want to criticise
But
anybody.
Isaac won one where he
Anybody.
injures himself, how he like gets his
He does
body
well
and
even-
his leg
Oh, it's a bit behind
into
him.
that shape to
It was
to
like
get it on
a
target.
bit like the one he scored against Forest. When it was the cross of the behind him,
yeah,
kind of raised.
yeah.
He-
There was one in the first half. It was like a header, and then Bruno tries to
oh, he gets a little flick, isn't it?
just doesn't quite get enough on it.
At the end of it, the music, Sam Fender, everyone singing hypersonic missiles and
Oh,
17 going under, and It was a shame AC/DC came on, but you
I
can't
was
win more.
just about to
It
say.
came on and we all went, Besty, you'll fucking hear that.
I think that's what
I was livid though,
this.
but I was livid it didn't happen at the time. But then after the game, sitting at 12 o'clock in some pub on Baker Street, the Green Man it was called.
I went past.
The
I probably
players-
drove past it.
They played Queen, We Are the Champion, and the whole pub
Aye.
was just up, scarves up, singing like
I'm
top of the.
I'm
top of our
so
voices.
glad, right? And like I love the song, and I think it's the definition of everything since the takeover. But if Big River had played, I would have literally gone.
I was singing it in bed
gone.
last night.
I'll still be there now.
I've been singing all day. I love that song.
Like it's like I would have been in bits.
that was what got me. I was
You
fine.
already were.
I was fine. At half time, I was a little bit not like Mark, but I was a little bit kind of wet eyes and all that. Like at a full time, I was fine, and then a local hero, and I was like, oh no, that's it.
I was going to
Yeah, lush, man, lush.
I'm really glad though that it would have been wonderful to have won the final 2 years ago against Man United,
Yeah,
but for us to do it this time around against Liverpool in the way that we did just makes it that much more special for me, because
Sweet, isn't it?
people, if we'd have beaten Man United, people would have said, yeah, but it's Man United, they're past the best, they're not a great team. There's absolutely no way that they can hold that against what we done this weekend against Liverpool, who are by far the best team in the country at the minute. I know, obviously, the game in midweek and before that says different, but they're one of the best teams in the world.
Oh yeah,
Club football. We know they've just got, beaten by PSG, but like it's not normal for us to go into that game and come away playing so well, dominating them on every single position on that pitch and coming away victorious.
That's what I thought about. Like, we didn't win 1-0, and it was that was never a handball. Or actually, he was offside.
Yeah,
it was. We were the better.
Oh
team.
yeah.
We've done what, you know what I mean? That's what I loved about it. Like the amount of messages I've had off some Magnus, man, my mates can. He has absolutely bossed them. Like,
Everything I've read,
you know what I mean?
everything.
So, and that's what you can come away from the game, and there's not a single person can try and have something on you. Because I totally agree. They would have said, "Well, it's not Man United that way now." They would have just said something. Do you know what I mean? And just had to be a dick. You know
like my mates that are Liverpool, like I've got two friends that are season ticket holders in Liverpool. Both of them messaged me after like the game saying, "You absolutely deserve that."
I was
at
at school with Yusuf, who like Liverpool and Sunderland. He hates Newcastle. Like me and him, like he fell out with years ago about Newcastle and stuff like that. He texted. He was like, "Mate, like that was like deserved it absolutely." He was like, the Liverpool fans have been great. Like
I do want to mention one thing about Liverpool fans, and I'm sorry to end it this way. Oh. Did anybody see the Liverpool fan with the PSG cap on?
Yeah.
That was best.
Am
Have
I?
you seen the PSG accounts tweeted it?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you can't beat them,
join them.
Class.
I want to be having a Newcastle cap on next weekend.
Winners 25.
Obviously, I didn't. Of course, at the match, I didn't see it on the screen. It was when I was watching it back, and I just went, "What? Why is he got that?"
Though, to be fair, there is loads of Newcastle fans that went to Dortmund that have got Dortmund hats and scarves and stuff like that.
Not a few days.
I
after
wouldn't-
that.
I wouldn't-
knock her out the Champions
I wouldn't wear a Dortmund hat in the.
Can you
cup
imagine
final.
you're going to a cup final and
Oh,
you've just got knocked out of another cup by that team? You go, "That's the one."
It's unusual.
It's mental. It's mental. And do you know what it is?
When you turn up in your Arsenal top and your PSG
Here
cap.
he goes.
There's a couple of comments in. It's very similar comments because we mentioned obviously beating Liverpool more, saying how sweet I'd have felt by beating Liverpool rather than Man U a couple of seasons ago. Paul Flanagan, who we're going to meet up with very soon, says we beat first, second, third, and fourth in the league.
Yeah.
Yes,
just
I
to
meant
get there.
that. Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was Arsenal, Chelsea, Forest, and then
There is one thing I want to say before I finish.
Okay.
Almiron's getting his medal.
yes,
That was
he's
a
got
nice
Messi
medal.
shirt.
And see what else? You got Messi shirt as
Yeah.
well. What a weekend for
that-
man.
I was.
Better
I think
than
I was.
Burns.
I think I was in the car. I rang my dad as well, and he said, "It's amazing, blah blah." And he says, "But I really wish Mickey had to be next week. I loves Mickey."
Yeah.
And I
I
kind
thought
of,
that as well.
I did think that
Yeah,
as
it would have
well.
been a
And
nice
I know
touch.
some people maybe not think that, but I did. I was like, I wish Mickey had to be in there.
You
Have
see
you
the
put
video of
anything
Elliot
on
Anderson?
Insta or
Do you see
anything
the
like that?
video of
That's
Elliot
what I did.
Anderson?
I didn't look.
Crowd.
Oh, in the crowd,
Players
yeah.
like talking to him,
Yeah.
like from there.
Because he
We bumped into Dummett before the game as well.
Yeah, well, we didn't really. We did walk past him.
well, he came towards me.
Like so many right wingers in the past.
Sorry, mate.
Everybody knows my thoughts on it. So I was like,
That's what I'm saying. Bumped into him because Kris sold a ball to get out of the way. Hi, Paul.
Now the thing is, all right now that this.
And we were with Ben Tozer.
Ben Tozer, yeah.
Yeah.
Towards that, Northampton
He
County,
could
Northampton
have seen
legend.
the kits that he was wearing, him
Aye.
and his mate. Unbelievable.
So Ben Tozer was wearing a Jeremy one,
Jeremy,
the
the
blue and white
purple.
one, straight one. No, it was blue
Oh,
and
no,
white.
aye,
His,
sorry,
Oh, the
his
third
mate
kit.
was wearing
aye,
the purple
aye,
one,
his mate had the Viduka
the
purple one on.
Oh, class.
Like
aye, aye.
literally
Like
match
player
worn,
ones,
the-
yeah.
Good size.
absolutely
They
pristine.
both be big
Aye.
old shirts. Them.
Aye. Well,
But
lovely.
Unreal.
This was the one. Like we'll win stuff. I'm sure we'll win some in the future. But this was the one. It'll never feel quite like this again.
Yes, you're right.
It's and it will
I
feel
know.
amazing.
Yeah.
But this was the 70 years. Like what we did it.
I totally agree.
We
yeah.
did, we
Yeah.
did. We
And
did
we're
it.
there to see it.
Should we just replace the Angel Note with a big Dan Burn statue?
When I come home
On Eddie
tonight,
Howe
like,
It'll have to be a
I
small
have to
damn
drive past the Angel of North to get home, and it just
Crying again, were you?
like I didn't
You didn't fucking run home,
Straight in the
you
hard
know?
shoulder.
I
Straight in the
just
hard
looked at
shoulder.
it, and again, it was just joy, just to seeing it. When I did get home and then watch the ITV news and the BBC local news, both from St James's Park, I was crying through both of them. But honestly, watching the goals, everything, I had literal goosebumps on my arms. My hairs were on edge, and I'm sitting there, unbelievable. And then I did start sobbing again.
Yeah.
Well, boys, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks everybody who has joined us. There's been almost 400 throughout that one, and thanks very much everybody who's donated as well. It means so much to us as well. We now can replace that light which Mark broke.
I'm going to fix it.
Prove
it all wrong.
You know what it is, boys, and everybody else that was down there with us at the weekend and bumping into it. Absolute pleasure to just share that moment with you guys as well. It was fantastic. It really was.
Something we'll never ever forget.
Of course not. There'll be plenty more stuff coming this week because we are never ever going to stop talking about this moment. So keep an eye out.
At some point, I
we're gonna
will
do
stop
that.
crying though.
maybe.
Probably once I go to bed and actually get over myself.
Mark's cry cam. We're gonna have that.
Cry cam. So replace the tip cam to cry cam.
Sean Matthews cry cam.
But yeah, thanks very much. I hope you all enjoyed that as much as what we did. Just taking every single ounce of that and you know, just absorb all that content because it's been unbelievable. It really has. What you do? See you next time, Deka. Say the words, mate.
We won the cup, you know.
Get it.